This video is for anyone dealing with a sexually hostile work environment. In this video, I will help you understand what constitutes a sexually hostile work environment and what you need to do about it if it's happening to you. And at the end of the video, I will explain the most important thing you need to do to protect yourself in a hostile work environment. My name is Robert Ottinger, and I'm an employment lawyer. And over the past 25 years, I've helped countless executives and employees navigate the very challenging situation when you're dealing with a sexually hostile work environment. A sexually hostile work environment is one of the two types of sexual harassment that the law recognizes. A sexually hostile work environment exists when your workplace is permeated by unwelcome sexual conduct. And it also has to unreasonably interfere with your ability to do your job. Here are a few examples of the kinds of conduct that can create a sexually hostile work environment. Unwanted sexual advances or touching, sexual jokes, inappropriate gestures, comments about your attire, comments about your sex life, rumors being circulated about your sex life, pornography being played, posters that are sexual being displayed in the workplace. Basically, any kind of sexual conduct that's unwelcome, that makes you feel uncomfortable at work and interferes with your ability to do your job. It's impossible to list all the different ways it can be done, but these are just some examples. So what should you do if you believe that you're subject to a sexually hostile work environment? The first thing to do is create some type of journal, either on a piece of paper or on your own personal computer or phone. Never use a work phone or a work computer to record this stuff. It has to be on your own personal devices. What it needs to do, it needs to be very detailed. I like to see people using a spreadsheet that will have a date and then the name of the person that did it and then a description of exactly what the person did. So it's very important to have accurate details. And in this journal, do not express your emotion or your feelings. Just explain what is happening, who did it, what and when. And also, if you can, you need to preserve or get copies of the evidence. For example, if you're sent sexual texts or emails, save them. Or if there's photographs or posters up in the workplace, take a picture of them. If there's sexual conduct, get your camera out, record it. It's also important when you're creating this journal to be documenting how this sexual conduct is impacting your ability to do your job. Give details. For example, if you're trying to write a report, but your work environment is permeated with sexual jokes or people making comments about you and it's interrupting you and making you upset and unable to focus on your work, you should record that. Give specific details about the specific assignment you're trying to do and how it's interfering with your work. Oftentimes, a sexual hostile work environment is something that just goes on. And it may seem normal to the people who are doing it, but not to the victim. Don't fall into that trap. Even though it may be normalized for them, it's not normalized for you. And make sure you document exactly what's happening in this journal. And like I said, whenever you can, try to get copies or record the conduct at issue, because that's going to become very important. I'll explain that in a minute. The key in any sexual hostile work environment situation, number one, be able to recognize what it is and if it's happening to you. And again, it's any unwelcome sexual conduct, and it can come in many, many forms, like I gave you a few examples. And number two, you have to be able to prove that it's happening by keeping a journal and getting copies of everything that's going on. And finally, here's why those first two steps are so important. I want to share with you what I've learned about sexual harassment cases, especially hostile work environment cases, over the past 25 years. Here's the most important thing I can share with you. In all the cases I've handled, and there are so many, no company has ever conducted an investigation into a sexually hostile work environment or any kind of sexual harassment situation where I have seen a company find that it actually happened. In every single case I've handled, the companies conduct investigations and their conclusion is that the sexual harassment did not occur. That is a 100% rate of finding that the company did not do what our clients claim it did. And believe me, we put on trials afterwards and it was found that it did happen. But when the human resources people conducted the investigation, they came to the opposite conclusion. So what does that tell you? It tells you that when you report sexual harassment to the company, they're supposed to help you. The law says if you're subject to a sexually hostile work environment and once you report it to the company, they are required to help you and protect you. But what really happens is the exact opposite, is that they go on to protect themselves. They always find that it didn't happen. And this is why it's so important for you to create evidence before you report it so you can prove that this is really happening. And here's the most important thing you need to do. First of all, If you're subject to sexually hostile work environment, you have to report it to the company, because only then are they required to take steps to protect you. So you have to tell them and ask them to help you. But when you do it, it has to be in writing. If you just tell them orally, they will deny that you did it. So what you have to do is you have to put it in writing, and you actually have to use the word sexual harassment. You have to say, I am reporting sexual harassment in the workplace. Describe what's happening, who's doing it and what they're doing. It can be a brief summary, but to say like, I am hereby reporting to you that I am subject to sexual harassment in the workplace, and I am asking for your help to end it so I can continue to do my work here. Something like that, very clear, and you have to keep a copy of it. So put it in writing and make sure you use the word sexual harassment and explain what's happening, and keep a copy for yourself. I have had cases where people have given reports of sexual harassment, and guess what? No one can find it, and they claim it never happened. I'm not trying to scare you with this stuff, but the reality is human resources is supposed to help you if you're subject to sexual harassment. But it's been my experience in the past 25 years, I've never seen that happen. It's really unfortunate. In fact, human resources is almost always the biggest problem because they turn against the victim. It's horrible. And I hate to be saying that, but in every single case I've ever handled, that is exactly what happened. I want to give you a little example of a case that I had. It was against a very large bank in New York, one you've definitely heard of. It's one of the biggest banks in the world. In that case, our client was being sexually harassed. She was subject to a sexually hostile work environment by her boss and others, and they created a sexually hostile work environment by making comments about her attire, her appearance. And when she reported it, suddenly the company, they did an investigation. This huge bank worth billions of dollars conducted an investigation, and guess what? What did they find? They found that it never happened. But they also found that our client wasn't doing her job. She had been there for many, many years and always did a great job. But suddenly they turned on her, and rather than investigating the harassment, they just did a sham investigation there, and they found that our client suddenly became a terrible worker, and her file became really thick with complaints, and then they fired her. That's just an example of what happened. And we took that case to a hearing before an arbitrator, and the arbitrator wrote a long opinion remarking on how there was compelling evidence of the sexual harassment, and this gigantic bank conducted this huge investigation, and the arbitrator was shocked that this organization found that it didn't occur, and that rather than helping our client, they fired her. And our client won a very large award because the arbitrator found that the bank didn't do its job and did the opposite of what's supposed to do. And like I've been telling you, that happens in every single case I've ever been involved in. And if you're gonna go report sexual harassment at your workplace, you have to be prepared for this to happen to you, because it could. I hope it doesn't, but it could. So you need to take these steps to protect yourself and keep that record of everything that's happening, and make a written report and keep a copy for yourself. And most importantly, when you feel like you're alone and you're up against a big company, that's when it's time to get an attorney. In fact, you should probably get an attorney right away. If you think you're being sexually harassed at work, it wouldn't be a bad idea to go see a good employment lawyer, because they can help guide you keeping these records and how to prepare your report, being sure it's written well, and they can help you along the way to make sure that you do everything possible to protect yourself, because sadly, you need all the help you can get if you're being subject to sexual harassment at work. I'm Robert. I hope this was helpful, and please contact our firm if you need help. Thank you.